Welcome to our channel, ladies and gentlemen. Even before the D-Day for hearing in the Rigathi Gachagua versus the Senate case matures, Rigathi is already crying foul because he's saying he can read mischief that there is a choreographed plan to ensure that his case is bungled, then victory is given to the current nominee to the deputy office, Kithure Kindiki. When Gachagua went to High Court, the judge handling that case referred it to the Chief Justice for a constitution of a bench to look into the issues that Gachagua was talking about. And indeed, these three judges were given that mandate. Judge Justice Eric Ogola, Anthony Murema, and Frida Mungai. Those are the judges that were given this mandate to look into the weighty issues that Rigathi Gachagua, together with his legal team, are seeking interpretation on. But Rigathi's legal team is raising eyebrows because they feel something is not adding up. Through a letter that was written by Rigathi's lawyer, John Njomo, and the letter is directed to the deputy registry of the High Court, or the deputy registrar of the High Court. They are complaining on some 2 or 3 grounds that I want us to look at. Then we look into this because seemingly Rigathi is losing this case. It seems like he's fighting an elephant here. They are saying, number one, they are asking whether the Chief Justice was involved in constituting this bench, these three judges. They are wondering whether it was Chief Justice who constituted this bench. They are saying that they have a problem with these three judges because these are the very judges that they had dealt with before. They're saying when they went to seek conservatory orders, you remember when they went to try and block the National Assembly from debating and voting on this matter, it was declined. And then they went to try and block the Senate under the same circumstances, not to debate and vote on this case. The courts declined. And they are saying that the very judges were in charge when all these prayers to give a conservatory orders were given, and therefore they feel that these judges are hell-bent on ensuring that Rigathi loses this case. We will come back to that. They are also saying that after the impeachment, when they went to the judge, they are also saying that the very judges told them that there was no any other day they could get in between the day they reported their case, they registered their case, to 29th. And the judges refused and said that they could only be heard on 29th. However, when state lawyers went there seeking to be heard under certificate of urgency, the judges accommodated them and gave them 2 days, early sasa. 2 days early. That was now, I think, 25, 27 there. And they're saying, how could it be that when they requested for an earlier date, the judges refused, that there was no time, but when the lawyers representing the government went to them, they accommodated them. They feel that these are indications that things are not well ahead. Now, ladies and gentlemen, Rigathi Gachagua's legal team is also saying that these judges were supposed to, they are appointed to look into some 6 cases on Tuesday. But there are other 2 more cases that they will be looking at, apart from all these 6 cases which are so voluminous, and they have given themselves 2 more other cases. And they feel that with all these grievances, it only means one thing, that Rigathi Gachagua is supposed, they have a plan, they have hatched a plan to punish him in the courts of justice, because that is the only place that he had faith. That was his last hope. And they are saying that Rigathi Gachagua was never given a fair hearing in the National Assembly, neither was he given a fair hearing in the Senate, and his hope were in the courts of justice. But then from the onset, they say something is cooking and they are planning to bungle this hearing so that they can give William Ruto his victory and subsequently allow the swearing in of Kithure Kindiki. What do you think? Do you think Rigathi has got any reason to fear? That is what I want us to discuss. Because, ladies and gentlemen, let us face it. This was a supremacy war, a supremacy battle between the deputy president and his boss, William Samoei Ruto. And I have got a feeling that if you looked at the criteria and the process on how Kithure Kindiki was appointed and hurriedly approved by the National Assembly, they don't merit, because we've discussed here that the IEBC is not properly constituted. That is why we still have 11 pending by-elections which they cannot preside over, and therefore they do not have any mandate to declare a vacancy in any office like that of the deputy president. They cannot clear any candidate, and so these are weighty grounds. If you look at how Rigathi Gachagua was mistreated at the National Assembly, you will realize that there was no due process. That was a shouting match. And then in the Senate, yes, they listened to him. Some people say they should have waited for him to be there physically, but others are saying that if you look at the impeachment of Donald Trump, it shows that you don't have to be there when your case is going on. Your lawyers can represent you. However, we all agree that there was no fair hearing. When you look at what has been happening in Africa, not in Kenya, it is very difficult to win a case against a sitting president. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you that. We have got three arms of the government, but the arm that controls the DCI, controls the DPP, controls the police, controls the army, has got an upper hand, because they can send some DCI to collect your security, just giving you a warning that things are bad. I remember in 2017 when Justice Baraga, Chief Justice Baraga, was to sit with his bench, the Supreme Court, to determine whether people were still going for an election after Raila and his team had withdrawn. The previous day before the D-Day, Philomena Mwilu, who is now the Deputy Chief Justice, was shown danger. Her security was shot, just to show you that we think you are going to give a verdict that is not intended to what we want. And she was so scared that she didn't come. So it is very easy for the executive arm of the government to intimidate. And winning a case against an executive, arm of the government is not very easy. And therefore, I have a feeling that with that, Rigathi Gachagua has got every reason to fear. Number two, there is state capture in our country. I have always listened to cases after election in Uganda, in Nigeria. You can never win against a sitting president. Look at it this way. All those people who are in those offices, who has got the ultimate authority of appointing them, like in the Chief Justice case, two names are forwarded to the president. He chooses one of them. So you realize that by the end of ultimately by the end of every process, it is the president who must ascend his signature there. So it is like the appointing authority, and therefore with that, it is difficult. The president is in charge of the Interior Ministry, that is in charge of giving those officers security in accordance with the law. But they can always manipulate. I'm just trying to paint a picture that it is difficult to win. And therefore, with that state capture, where the executive arm of the government has captured the judiciary, has captured the two houses, Senate and the National Assembly, the DCI and all that, it is going to be very difficult for Rigathi Gachagua to win this on a fair ground. Number two, there is a cordial relationship between William Ruto and Madam Martha Koome. Of course, we've seen some fracas here and there, verbal fracas, William Ruto threatening. There is a rumor now that the judiciary fears that they're being intimidated as far as the swearing in of Kithure Kindiki is concerned. And I heard that Madam Koome is planning to sit down and talk about this. If this meeting takes place before the case is heard, I'm telling you, Rigathi is going to lose it. And therefore, ladies and gentlemen, I believe with all this, there is reason to fear, and I fear for Rigathi Gachagua. You might not win this. And what goes round comes round. You are going to realize that once upon a time, you are enjoying the trappings of power. Then all of a sudden, you now sit as a victim. Remember, Rigathi has started crying as early as now. He was saying members of his staff had already been sent on compulsory leave. They have taken his security. This is the executive arm of the government trying to plan things. And so let us hope that we are going to look into the constitution, and we will let legal minds argue it out, but let the laws of the land prevail. I don't know why they have started crying, but I also have a genuine, they have a genuine reason. I feel that it might be very difficult for them. I think William Ruto is decided that he wants to swear in Kithure Kindiki. That is why they were even rushing with it. Do you think there's going to be justice here? I don't think so. I don't think there is going to be justice. Yes, Rigathi has a watertight case with evidence and all that, but on this, let's hope against hope. Because when I've seen lawyers say that Kithure Kindiki should not be sworn in, but because this is Kenya, it is going to be done the Kenyan way.